gentlemen, welcome to the show. My name's Dean Serneels, and you have just joined One Drink with Robyn Closson.
I'll let y'all show me your hidden talents. So there are some people in the audience that I don't understand how they where's Robyn Closson? Robyn? Hi, Robyn. Where do you live? What do you do? I live in Las Vegas and I'm a bartender. That's really good. We should do this more often.
Here we are, Robyn Closson, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together. Woohoo! Robyn, thank you very much for spending some time with us on Behind the Glass with Dean Serneels, making an egg white cocktail for us.
Yeah.
The concept of the show, of course, is that you and I have just finished a busy shift. We're going to have our after-work drink and just catch up. So what are you drinking today?
Well, normally if I'm getting off work and it's a closing shift, I normally have just a shot or a shot of beer. It's quick and it's easy. If I'm getting off of work and I'm working a day shift, I'll sit and have like an old fashioned. So I
Right.
actually am making my hot toddy right now.
Well,
I put
thank you.
very solid amount of whiskey in it just to because why not?
All right, we'll make sure we don't. All right, here we are. One drink with Robyn Closson. Thank you, Robyn.
Cheers.
So, Robyn, you've been in the bartending world for 20 plus years, I'm guessing.
Yes, sir. I started when I've been in the restaurant business since I was about 15. So
Okay.
that'll give me about 26 years. And then I've been bartending since I was 20. So that'll give me 21 years.
Wow. And where did you start when you were 15?
I started taking culinary classes when I was about 15. And then, so I started interning during those classes. And then I started cooking when I was 16 for about 2.5 years before I started serving.
So you knew since you were 15 that you wanted to get into the hospitality industry.
Yeah, I actually applied for a college and got accepted, and I just didn't go. I applied to culinary school, and I didn't go, but I got accepted.
Right. Well, at least you got accepted. All right. And what city was it that you were in?
What's that? What city?
Yeah.
Syracuse. I grew up in Syracuse.
Oh, that's right. You grew up in Syracuse.
Yeah.
Like Tobin Ellis was a Syracuse boy.
Yeah, we went to we knew a lot of the same people.
Right.
But we
Did you
never
know
knew
each other at the time?
We never knew each other ever.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Cool. So now you're at Nickel City in Austin,
Mhm.
hanging out with my buddy Tobin, Travis Tobert.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I've known him for a long time too. So I met him back in Florida, and then I think from him coming to Vegas and coming to Carnival, we've just stayed in touch that way. And then
Right.
when I moved to San Diego, ran into him, and then when I was in LA, I went to see him when he came to visit, and then when I went to Austin for the concert, I was like, I told my girls, I said, if I go to Austin, like I have to go see my buddy's bar, and that was the start of my journey to Austin. So
And where were you
Yeah.
before you moved to Austin?
LA.
You were in
LA
LA
for
for a
2
couple of
years.
years, right?
Yeah, LA for 2 years, San Diego for 2 years before that, and then right before that, I spent the summer in London.
Okay.
Yeah, and then obviously that was right at the end of my Vegas years. So
Right. And you had how many years in Vegas then?
12.
12 years in Vegas. That's quite a good run. Quite a good run.
Yeah, that's a damn good run.
So bring me to the beginning of your Flair career then. One of the things that I like to share with bartenders watching is the path that my guests have taken to get where they are today. just to showcase all the different directions you can go along the way, especially in this wonderful hospitality industry. So you were in Syracuse when you were 15, and how did you get to Vegas? What events happened to get you to Vegas?
I started working at Kahunaville
Right.
in Syracuse, and from there I wanted to bartend, and they wouldn't let me bartend, but they would let me off the clock go behind the bar and learn things, and the bartenders there were willing to teach me. So there, unlike most places, would actually let you go back there off the clock and be like, okay, teach me some Flair. The service bartender would actually let me go back there off the clock and like teach me pours and teach me some drinks.
Oh,
that's
great.
how much I wanted. That's how much I wanted to learn how to bartend. Was like off the clock. I'm done working. Now we'll go back there and I don't know if you know Steve Dorsey. He was the first one.
Yep. Yeah, I know Steve Dorsey well.
Yeah, he was the first one to like start showing me moves, and a couple other guys would show me moves, and then I was just so eager to learn how to bartend. There you had to learn how to Flair, so that's what got me learning how to Flair was I wanted to bartend. And then they were opening one in Orlando, in Florida, and I really had no reason to be in New York anymore, and I was like, okay, well, me and my friend decided we were going to move down to Florida. We were going to go down to Orlando, but they opened the Tampa one first. So long story short, anyways, we moved down there to Tampa, and still they wouldn't move us down there as bartenders because there it's 100% Flair. So I moved down there as a server, started learning how to Flair from the Tampa guys, which was like Peter Medina. When I got down there, I started learning like hardcore with these guys. I started actually competing and started beating some of their bartenders as a server.
That's great.
And that's when they started to take me seriously. And
were those in-house bartending competitions just held at Kahunaville, or were they some other competitions?
Oh, no. They were like, those were the Adobe Gillis ones where I met everybody, like Ken and Rob Ford, and like I met all the guys. And then they started asking me to judge their competitions at Kahunaville, even though I wasn't even bartending yet. So I started judging competitions at Kahunaville when I wasn't even bartending yet there. I lived in Florida for about a year and a half, and that's when I met the Argentinians.
Oh, the Argentinians, the invasion.
And then
wow.
The Argentinians. And that's when my move to Vegas happened, because me, Coco, Ati, and Philip, we all moved. We moved to Vegas together. Yeah,
Ati was part of that first invasion.
That was the entire invasion of Vegas. That's when like the herd happened.
Right.
But it was so awesome, man. The first few years I was in Vegas, it was like the last couple of years in Vegas were pretty rough. And a lot of things changed and people started going in their own directions. But I tell people that first 10 years in Vegas was like, it's the best 10 years of my life. Like, it was awesome. There's just so many people. I met so many people from around the world, and like when I went to Europe and I was traveling different places, it was just everywhere I went, I would just know people in different places. It's so amazing. The connections you get, the connections we all got from living in Vegas and meeting people, and it's just such a huge.
We could literally couch surf around the world now, just by all the bartenders. When I was in Florida. Yeah, it was the early Quest days. The Flair bottle was just coming out, and the Argentinian Invasion came in, and we went from Team Canada being the loudest group in the room and maybe the biggest group of people to Team Argentina came in, and wow, just watching these guys, they of course embraced the Flair bottle, and they took Flair from here to here. Just overnight. It was crazy.
And then like Team Japan came in, and these groups of and just like changed the world with Flair. It was just insane.
Yeah. So you got into Vegas, and what was your first job in Vegas?
My first and only job in Vegas? No, it wasn't my only. I mean, I got Carnival Court almost instantly because they hadn't had any female Flair bartenders, and and I needed work. I definitely needed work because I had only had competition Flair. I hadn't really had working Flair. So um, John met with me. Christian brought me in, and John, who was the head bartender at the time, said, "Okay, like we're gonna hire you, but like you know, looked at Christian and said you need to work with her." So Christian pretty much got together with me in the garage and gave me like 6 moves, and he goes, "Here, work on these." I'm like, "Okay." And that was like my 6 base working Flair moves for like my entire. And
So you you're hanging out with Kahunaville, right? And Kahunaville was one of the first concepts to really embrace Flair and start making it part of your mandatory. And you move out to Vegas, and all your buddies in Kahunaville are like, "Oh, you get to go to Vegas." And your first trainer in Vegas is Christian Delpeche in his garage.
Yeah. I mean, I was also living with Coco and Ati and like
Right.
those guys, and then we moved into a house where it's like Christian, Rodrigo, Adriano Marcelino, Rodrigo Delpeche, and it was like we called it the Flair House. It was a 6-bedroom house with 8 Flair bartenders living in it, and it was awesome.
So you were living in the house with this, like, you being one of them, this house of legends of Flair bartending then.
It was nuts. But it was awesome. our garage was, you couldn't beat our Flair. You couldn't beat our garage. Our garage was 3 different bars set up, 1 facing this way and then 2 facing this way. So let's say we had a legends going on. One was speed round bar, one was a pour test bar, and the other one was a Flair bar. We would just sit there and rotate. Like,
so you'd each spend half an hour on each bar and practice, or would the 3 of you move?
Yeah, we just like do, I don't know, maybe a couple of us would be on the one bar, and then it was so perfect, and everybody would work together. We would just all work together. It was so awesome.
I'm working on a Flairco bar right now, actually.
Are you? I have one still.
Right.
I use it for I used it when I went to practice for SpeedRack, and
right.
I found out that that's actually what they use. They use those.
When for SpeedRack, yes.
Yeah, so I found out that they use the portable bars for SpeedRack. So I'm like, cool, I have an advantage. I know how to work on this bar. So I literally like probably wanted to like bring my bar with me and be like, I was so excited when I found out they used it.
You must have been a celebrity just for that. Hey, you're the first guest of February, the all ladies guests of One Drink With. Tell us a little bit more about SpeedRack, because that's a really big deal for the ladies.
Yes, it is. So it's something that I've had people bug me to do for a really, really long time, and I was like, I always just rejected it because even though I've been doing cocktails for a while, I've never really worked in a cocktail bar that does like really intense cocktails, and man, the list of cocktails is really intense, and it's probably about 50 cocktails.
50?
And yeah, and there are a lot of cocktails you don't make every day. And it's not about that though. It's about going and everybody. I did it for the first time last year. I finally did it. My manager.
So tell me the premise of it first. Tell me the premise of the SpeedRack competition.
So it is supporting breast cancer. Everything we do, the proceeds go to breast cancer. Everything. So it's obviously for girls, but there's.
So I interrupted your chain of thought, and you were talking about the journey of going through the competition, just being there and being part of it. It's not about winning so much.
Yeah, no worries. It's so when I went last year, it was my first time actually going, and me and my general manager made an agreement. I talked her into doing rematch, and she's like, she wanted me to do SpeedRack, and I said, okay, if you do rematch, I'll do SpeedRack. So we agreed on it. Unfortunately, when I went last year, it was like right at the beginning of COVID, and like a lot of the girls didn't get to go because they couldn't go or didn't want to go because of everything that was going on. Our venue got canceled like the day before because of COVID. We couldn't even have a live audience. We couldn't really have anybody come and watch us. Like Travis was going to come watch and he couldn't, so they did a live feed and watched. And it was the last match that had happened. Like there hasn't been anything since. They didn't do any files. They didn't do anything. So I don't really feel like I got like the full experience of what it could have been. But I'm happy to say I finally did one.
So when we get out of this, are you ready to do another one and get started with them all again?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. It was really fun to practice, and Emily Yett actually talked me through a lot of it, and she had done it, and she had won her areas. She won the Vegas one a few years back.
Right.
Yeah, so I talked to her, and she talked me through a lot of it and helped me with a lot of it, and made me feel really comfortable with it. And what I was scared about, I'm not scared about anymore. So I could do it again easily. But it was such like when we were all in back and they were calling names to go, like the whole room of girls was just cheering everybody on. Like it was like Vegas when like our competitions. Whenever somebody was out there competing, we were all cheering for each other. That's how this was. It was so cool.
Yeah, that was one of the best things about all the competitions. All the bartenders were there to support each other. They weren't there to knock each other down.
For the most part.
For the most part. It changed when the money came in. When the money started really going from, just a couple $1,000s to $5,000 to $10,000 and then greater than that, I think, for a couple of competitions. The camaraderie kind of got less when the money got higher. But at the end of the day, it's the camaraderie of all the bartenders and the friendships that are made just by going on the journey of going to a bartending competition.
I did it for almost 20 years, and I wasn't doing it to get first place. I didn't even really get any of those. I did it because I did it to get better and because it was fun and to hang out with everybody, and because competing was like, it's like a high.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a real adrenaline rush just from being on stage for the 5 minutes. I've always talked about, I mentioned earlier, the journey. How has preparing for bartending competitions versus competing for competitions made you a better bartender?
I'm really specific how I like my bar set up. I'm really clean behind the bar, and right. I get really mad when other people aren't, because I'm so used to setting my bar up for speed rounds and stuff like that. It's like, and just knowing where it's going like this, like turning around and I know this bottle's here. And then where if I go to do it and it's not there and somebody else has to put it in, I'm like, why is that not back where it's supposed to be? And I get so angry. And I'm like, I know that's convenient for you, but now it's going to slow me down every time I'm going to look for something. Just take 2 seconds.
And it's going to slow that person down too when they go looking for it later. It won't be where it's supposed to be.
Exactly. So I get stuff like that. So where like I got so used to speed rounds going like this and knowing that this bottle is going to be right there. You know what I mean? Like, I can't believe I reached behind something to get that.
It was perfect.
Knowing, like, mise en place, just knowing where everything is and everything where it's supposed to be. Like, and I'm so particular about my bar set up that, like, and here in Exeter, we don't really need it. Like, we got our bar set up really great. But in LA, I had 2 different jobs. And I would bring 1 bag of my own supplies to one job and another bag of my own supplies to another job because
wow,
I just needed my bar set up the way I wanted it. And they knew it too. They knew when I was coming in, they had to set it up a certain way. I'm like, I need to have this tins. I need to have these tongs because I can't set fruit. I can't touch fruit. I need to have my certain jiggers. I need to have my bar spoons. I need to, because your stuff is crap. But it also makes you faster, you're more consistent, and it makes you cleaner.
Right. Right, because you can do all the pour tests and, the free pouring and everything else is nice and quick and clean. So going from Flair bartending in Vegas at Carnival Court to some bar in LA, what were your biggest challenges going from such a glamorous position to, I don't want to say not glamorous position, but...
Well, I went from Vegas to San Diego to LA. In San Diego, the difference from Vegas to San Diego was completely different because I went from having one job for 12 years to having 6 jobs in 2 years in San Diego, and that was nuts.
That was nuts. I remember following you on Facebook and just crossing my fingers that you were going to land a good one.
Yeah, San Diego was a completely different animal, and I had to get out of there pretty fast. It's a beautiful city. It wasn't for me.
Days. You have traveled around the world doing bartending competitions in Flair and in SpeedRack, of course. Where are some of the coolest places you've traveled to doing competitions?
Ukraine was pretty awesome. I definitely don't think I was there long enough. I was only there for a couple days.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it was a really short but really cool experience.
The Ukraine was one of your favorite spots, and what was it about the Ukraine?
It's just different. It's it's like when you visit somewhere that's different than your own. It's definitely cool to visit. It was just.
And where else have you traveled?
Out of the country, UK. Like London, I've been to a couple times. For competing out of the country, that's it.
But you've competed at the world famous Roadhouse, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about that experience at Roadhouse with Tom Dyer and Michael and all the guys.
That was in 2004. I think I made it past the daytime qualifiers.
Right.
I think I made it to the daytime qualifiers, and I made it to the nighttime, but I didn't make it past that. I think that's what it was.
But how was hanging out with the bartenders there, the international group of bartenders, versus hanging out with your Vegas Flair bartenders?
I love my London guy, my English guys. Like when I was over there, it's not much different. Okay, so Roadhouse is pretty much like the Carnival Course of London. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, you get wasted. That's your nightcap bar. Like, you want to go out that night? Roadhouse is the last place you go because you're getting messed up. That's where you're going.
That's cool. And then competing there, I never got to go to Roadhouse. I went there last January, actually. And I was only there for a few minutes, actually. So I never got to really experience all of Roadhouse. Tom Dyer was taking me on a tour of London, and we went to, 10 different bars in London in one night.
And that was the only time you've ever been there?
That's the only time I've ever been to Roadhouse. You've been hired for all kinds of different events as well, correct? So where has Flair bartending taken you around the world to be hired for special events as Robyn Closson?
Events? Jeez. I've worked. I did work at a Red Bull event in Hawaii. Snoop Dogg was our entertainment.
Oh, that's cool. Did you get to hang out with him?
No. It was me and Cash and Aaron. Yeah, that was fun. We were only there for a couple days, so we got to, while we weren't working, we got to do whatever we wanted during the day, and they paid for it. So that was fun.
Right.
I worked another event for Caesar's Palace. It was for some rich guy's 30th birthday, and it was just all these A-listers, like Usher and Paris Hilton and Leonardo DiCaprio and just
wow,
all these. Yeah, I know. They're of course, something you can't bring your camera out for. You just have to tell people and hope they believe you. You're like, no, I swear, all these people were there. It was cool though. It was an experience. They had tigers and an elephant. They brought this rich guy out a car. It was just a Mustang or something. It's kind of this guy doesn't care about this car. Yeah, they brought him on a car. We're like, he's sitting there, we're sitting there popping this guy like a couple $100 bottles of champagne, and he's spraying them on models. Do you think he cares about this $25,000 car?
Oh, so give me a couple of highlights of your career.
Probably some of the old competitions where it's just like staying up until. I know this has nothing to do with competing. I think more the experience of being with people.
You know, that's the part of competing that people don't understand, that there's this background, this, you know, the 5 minutes on stage is nothing compared to the 48 hours hanging out with like-minded people.
Yeah. Denny's Takeover, probably one of them.
Oh, yes. Tell us about that. I only remember bits and pieces.
So, for all of you watching that have no idea what we're talking about, okay, so I'll explain this to you. This is the infamous Denny's Takeover. So, it was one night after, was this Legend? No, it was
in Florida. It was Florida.
Yeah, I can't remember what competition it was for. But it was, we just got done with the competition, and there was maybe 50 of us. We walked into this Denny's at, I don't know what time in the morning. There was literally.
So do some name dropping for us. Do some name dropping. There was Christian Delpesh, Rodrigo Delpesh.
Right, but there was a manager, one cook, and a server. About 50 of us walked in the door, and the server just looks at us and goes, "I quit." Walks out the door. So we all like take our seats, and we take over the entire restaurant. Like he said, so Rodrigo starts taking drink orders. I think we have Luis Herrera was back there, I think, like washing dishes or something.
Luis Herrera used to work for the same restaurant chain, and he was cooking.
Oh, he was cooking.
Yeah, Mike McLean had taken over dishwasher. Mike McLean was washing dishes.
I knew Mike was doing something. I couldn't remember what he was.
Yeah, Mike was washing dishes, and I know Luis was cooking. He was like cooking everybody's food.
Yeah, he was cooking. Like, there was a few people just like busting tables, taking drink orders, taking food orders. There was like, I think there was actually one server that was still on, because I think it was maybe two servers, because one server was still on, because she was the one actually taking the food orders, because she made so much money that night. I know
she must have.
Yeah, because there was somebody walking around taking videos, and the manager was just sitting back laughing. He going, "I don't care what you do, just don't like post it or anything," because obviously they're getting a lot of trouble for it. But yeah, I think we ended up taking over the entire restaurant. We ended up cooking everything. We ended up cleaning everything. We ended up doing everything, ringing everything, making sure everything was ringing in. I think that server probably made a couple $100 off of us that night. And she was like, "Yeah, we're good." Like, it was awesome. And I know we have it on film somewhere. I think it was on one of the outtakes for one of our takes, one of our videos.
Yeah, some of the video for sure. I remember vaguely some police showing up at the end of the night.
Did they? At Denny's?
Yeah.
You don't remember that.
You don't remember that part? No. I remember that the manager and Christian Delpesh got into some kind of disagreement. And it's vague. We'll find someone that knows it better. But apparently he touched Christian Delpesh. And the entire room stood up.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's how I remember it. I don't know if I made that up in my own mind. Cool. Well, what a great career you've had. Now, walk us into Nickel City here. You found your way to Austin, Texas with Travis Tober. He's taking good care of you at Nickel City.
Yeah.
Tell us about Nickel City when we come to see you.
Nickel City has been absolutely amazing to me. I got my foot in the door. Travis welcomed me with open arms, and I was very lucky, because I know it's not very easy to get that position. I started out as a barback, and he even told me, he's like, "I hire you, but just let you know you're gonna start as a barback." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care." He's like,
just embraced it.
"Okay." Yeah, what's that? Oh, hell yeah. I'm like, I'll start as a barback. I've never officially been a barback. I've done like everything else. I've cooked, I've served, I've hosted, I've scooped ice cream, friendlies, if you know what that is. Like, I've washed dishes, I've bussed, you name it, I've done it. I've never barbacked. I'm like,
never barbacked.
Yeah, and I started off as a barback, and it was during our Sip and Santa, which is, our Christmas pop-up. And it was so fun. I loved it. I just put my head down and was a workhorse for a month. And we had a couple people leave right away, so he's like, okay, I'm gonna have a bar spot for you, like pretty quick. I'm like, cool. But yeah, no, it was fun just to get in there and show people I can work hard, like instantly, like no, and they're like, it was awesome. But I started bartending like right at the first of the month of the first of the year.
That's one of the fun things about getting into the industry. It revolves so fast that you think it's going to be forever for you to get a new position, but people move around, and it all of a sudden you get to pop up.
Well, at Carnival didn't. That's one of the reasons why I left.
Right, right.
It was 12 years and I couldn't get a full-time spot there, but that's union and that's the way it goes. But yeah, no, and Nico, just everybody there was just so welcoming, and everybody there is just awesome. Like I love the staff that I work with. There's not one person that I don't like, not one. So
You're immediately brought in as family.
yeah, you really are. Everybody.
Do you find that's true in the industry at all bars, or now that you've bounced around a bit?
Yeah, no, I definitely don't think that's true in all bars.
Right. Yeah, you had
Yeah.
some challenges along the way. So, what do you think is the magic ingredient that Nickel City and Travis Tober brings in that makes it this family minutes
Travis
after
knows
arriving?
Travis knows what he's doing, and he knows he's hiring the right people. Not everybody does that. People hire for different reasons, you know.
So if I'm a manager out there wanting to follow the same direction and hire the right people, what does he do differently?
Some people hire for looks. Some people hire because they're buddies, even though they're not. They don't know if they've ever bartended before. Some people, but it's not even necessarily who they're hiring. It's how they're treated once they get hired, or how they run their bar. If the people respect it's if the people respect who they're working for. If you know what I mean. We all respect him. He does a lot for us, and he gives us a reason to respect him. You know what I mean? He goes out of like especially during this whole COVID thing. He's done a lot for us to make sure we're all taken care of. He makes sure there's always money in our pocket for unemployment. You know, he's been making sure during this whole thing his business isn't going to go down, and he makes sure we're all taken care of. Like if somebody's not treating him good, then there's something wrong with him. And most good employees are good because they respect their owners or their management. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like usually
Yeah.
that employee is bad because they don't respect who they're working for. We all respect him. That's the difference.
Right. And that's a lot of it. That's a good employee just about anywhere, right? When you respect who you work for and you respect your management and they respect you and they invest in you,
Exactly.
it seems to work out much better than the opposite direction. We have a guest on the show this month who is a bartender she's been bartending for 1 year. She entered a bartending competition and won it.
Awesome.
Now, what kind of advice can you, as a woman in the industry for so long and all your vast experience, what can you offer this young woman coming into the industry to allow her to have such a vast experience as you have had?
Always stay humble, no matter how many competitions you may win. Or if you don't win, keep trying and keep competing no matter what. I mean, like, I barely won any competitions and I kept going. And even when I did win, I didn't act like I was the best out there. You know what I mean? Because I knew I wasn't. But even though I was one of the best females, I didn't act like it. You know what I mean? I stayed humble. Always work. Always support the people that you're competing with. It's going to make it a lot easier. Like, it's going to make it a lot easier to stay in this world, in this bartending world. You're never competing against other people. You're competing against yourself.
And what do you like better, being a Flair bartender or a mixologist?
I'm a bartender. Doesn't matter. I'm a bartender first, so you're always a
Beautiful.
bartender first. Yeah.
That's a lot of what I do in these shows. I'm trying to show that it's about tending to the bar and having fun, entertaining your guests, and making great drinks and doing a little flair. Well, it sounds like you've landed yourself in a really great spot where you've got a good family surrounding you and people taking care of you. What's your second job?
I'm a vet tech.
A vet tech. I didn't get that. Ah, cool. Is that where are you inspired or aspiring to become in the
Yeah.
veterinary
That's pretty
world?
much what I've been doing my whole life, and I just got the opportunity last summer to start doing it. So it just doesn't pay very much. So the lucky thing is I get to do two jobs that I love. Some people don't even get to do one job they love, and I get to do two jobs that I love. So I can't really complain. Yeah.
So post COVID, when all this breaks out, what's next for Robyn Closson?
Still doing both of these jobs. Hopefully, at Nickel, we can start making a little bit more money than we're making now, and I don't have to work as many days as I'm working now, and I can actually start saving a little money and paying off all this COVID stuff. But just continue doing what I'm doing now. I love what I'm doing now. Good.
Well, I love to hear that. What I don't love to hear is the fact that I'm at the bottom of my glass. How's your tea doing?
It's got like one sip left.
So that about wraps us up, I guess, then. Robyn, thank you very much for taking some time with us today. I know you're at home not feeling so well and recovering from the pandemic.
Thanks for having me. So good to see you.
Yeah, it was really great catching up with you, and I'd love to sit down and try to write out all the different times that we've hung out together and all the different competitions and stuff.
Sure, if I went through all the pictures I have of you, then it would be a fun little timeline.
Some incriminating evidence.
Very incriminating evidence.
All right, well, we're going to end it right there. All right, thanks, Robyn. I'm gonna sign off. Thanks for joining us on One Drink with Robyn Closson.